Hi everyone, my name is Nathan Cajina. I was born with golden heart syndrome mixed with a cleft palate. But see, like, that's just too long to say, so I just say it's called the Nathan syndrome. So, how my parents found out about my condition, how they told me was my mom was getting her first ultrasound with me. I think the doctors told her that I was going to be born with a cleft lip. Obviously, that's still like a big deal for parents, especially when it's only your second child. Through the whole 9 months, they were just expecting a baby with a cleft lip and palate, and then this kind of came all as a surprise. But luckily, it kind of worked in our favor at the end. Growing up with a facial difference, it definitely isn't for the weak. For me, I was luckily blessed with a beautiful family that guided me and that made me strong. My mom was the first one to make fun of my face. And I know that sounds bad, but my mom and my father really were like strong on me and tough on me, a lot harder than my older sister, and just in general because they knew that I would have to face a little bit more obstacles than the average looking person. Growing up, kids are very judgmental, especially when you're entering middle school and elementary years. But also people don't know any better. I think we all are gravitated towards something that looks different. At the end of the day, what am I going to look at? A bright orange car or a black car? I'm always going to look at a bright orange car. And it's okay to look, it's okay to question. And growing up, kids will look and sometimes I can tell when someone's a little scared to talk to me or they were uncomfortable. But I think it's all about just how you present yourself. So if I presented myself as if I had a problem, then it was just going to be a problem in anything I ever did. But I presented myself how my parents taught me to, and which was I was just a regular human being. I have a heart. I shower the same. I brush my teeth the same as everyone else, right? I might look a little different, but luckily I still have 2 arms, 2 legs. I have all these other things I'm so blessed to have that other people don't have. I never looked at how I look as a problem. So going to school, I would argue with kids, and the first thing they would mention is how like my face looks, right? But at the end of the day, I'll be like, oh look, I dress better than you, right? My girlfriend wants me, right? Because it's just all about how you present yourself. I always presented myself like I never had a problem, and my whole life it's never been a problem for me. Typically, obviously, I would have my occasional operations every other month in school, so I would always have to stop that, doctor's appointments. But when making personal relationships with kids around school, it was normal because they would talk to me, and then after talking to me for like the first 30 minutes or even 10 minutes, they would just realize, oh, like, he's just another kid. I would go from the kid that was different to, hey, yo, that's Nathan. And anything in life, things only become a problem if you make it a problem. You almost have to have this, delusion. You have to be delusional. And the point is I might look wrong, or I might look different, but I don't feel any different. If I don't see myself looking any different, people are that aura is gonna explain it to other people. And so that's how I was able to stay strong through all of school, because middle school years are tough. Elementary school years are tough, it's very ruthless, kids make fun of you. But it's also because we just don't know better, right? We're gonna make fun of something that's different. We're all hyper and don't think about anything. We just do. We just do. We don't even think. The first thing we think about, we just do it. So it's very common for people to get picked on. But for me, I never felt like I had a problem, and it just never was a problem for me because I was just very delusional in the fact that I was just as normal as you, but I was just, if not, a better human being. And anything. If a kid ran fast, I was like, hey, I can run faster. And that's just how I live my life every day. So when it comes to job opportunities, I've never really worked an actual corporate job. So I can't speak from the fact if your facial appearance affects your opportunities. Again, I think it just goes back to what I say. If you make things a problem, then it's going to be a problem. And if someone is going to judge me off of how I look and cap my ability, then it just wasn't meant to be. I'm a very strong believer in everything happens for a reason. I don't look presentable at a job because of how I look. Alright, and I don't want to work that job anyways. I'll find somewhere else. All my cars will always fall in line on how it needs to be, when I just follow my faith. For me, currently I do social media, but on the side I kind of do landscaping with my father. He kind of keeps me humbled. But any job that wouldn't hire me because of how I look isn't a job I would want to work anyways. I think it was early 2020, so around COVID time, I made a TikTok, and then I just got hooked onto it. And I always felt, and I tell the story every interview, I always felt like I can offer something to social media. I felt like there was a type of aura and this type of comedy and this dark humor that I can present myself with that has never been seen before. Luckily, second video is just, it kind of blew up, got 1 million views, and I remember I was still in college at the time, and my second TikTok had 1 million views, and I was walking past every popular area in college, because I was hoping that a kid would look at me. I just felt like I was Leonardo DiCaprio after that. Yeah, after that I just got hooked. I don't know good feeling to describe it, but it was just like an addiction, but a healthy one of wanting to always raise the bar. And I kept seeing people DM me and message me like, because on my bio, my only thing I have is my goal. My goal is to inspire you all, and that I feel like that's my purpose in life. Growing up, I found out my purpose pretty quickly. I played sports. I was a very active kid. I was just a normal kid, but parents and other kids would really take inspiration to that. So I always knew my goal growing up was to inspire people, was to make people believe that they can do what they think they can. So yeah, I kept pursuing social media, and then through that, I kind of fell in love with filmmaking. And so right now, I'm wrapping up my first short film, going through my own issues. Cause I mean, I'm not a perfect person at the end of the world either. As much as I always try to encourage people, as well, I have my own self-doubts within me. Not cause of how I look, but just other things. And so I created my first short film, kind of embracing that. And yeah, through social media, I just fell in love with filmmaking, so I'm kind of pursuing that. And I'm just kind of going with the flow. I don't know where life is gonna take me, but hopefully it takes me somewhere good. So my issue growing up, I think it kind of did key to inspiring people. So growing up, I always, I love to inspire people. I love getting that instant gratification from people. My personality, my whole being came towards just gearing towards people, right? So if I was hanging out with someone and they were having a good time, then I was having a good time, right? It didn't matter if I was having a good time at all. I was just worried about them. And what happened in social media as well was, in the beginning, you're kind of just going off the instinct. You're not thinking twice, but when it kind of becomes your job, you kind of start to think twice, when you kind of see a little bit of money coming in, a little bit of followers, you start to try to push the envelope. You want to keep it going forever. I started looking at it as a job. I started just trying to satisfy people, but I forgot about satisfying myself, At the end of the day, I have to look in the mirror. I was putting out things and I was creating things and I was being a person that I didn't even like to be. I was hanging out with my friends and I was just worried about how I can make them laugh the whole time. That just leads to my, demise, I forgot who I was as a person, what I think, what I like, and who I like to be around. And so this short film kind of embraced the fact of me finding myself and not necessarily always looking to please people, but realistically, if I please myself, that's all that matters. And people are going to fall in line. Because, what I like, everyone might not like, but someone else is going to like it, and they're going to watch that video and be like, hey, I actually like that. I'm kind of leaning towards the way TikTok and everything. I think for me, I've done it for 5 years now. I think it ran this cycle for me. I do it here and there, but I kind of like to storytell. So I'm pursuing long-form YouTube videos. And so that's why I kind of use this short filming for YouTube now, is where I have a longer video. I just don't have 30 seconds to impress you. I have a 5 minutes to 10 minutes to tell a story, whether it's inspiring and funny. And I can mix the two with each other. That's kind of the short film. It kind of just starts you off as just allowing me to find myself, doing things how I want to, not looking for other people as inspiration. What am I creating that's me? And so this short film is just strictly based off just my own ideas. No inspiration, no looking at other people. Life is all about finding balance. And I think when you don't have balance, you lose yourself. And I felt like I lost myself almost. And it might sound crazy, but when you're worried about inspiring everyone and you're worried about always inspiring people, you forget what inspires yourself. So have I ever had those days where I didn't feel confident? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think more so my mom will always ask why me. There were times where I did look in the mirror and I'm like, I look around and I'm really that needle in the haystack where it's everyone is per se normal, and then I'm like, I'm just that guy sticking out. So there were days where I did question, I did wonder, and there were also days where I personally may have lacked a little bit of confidence. I might have not taken the route where all the kids were walking down class. I might have taken, a little bit more of an isolated route to avoid some people. How I overcame that is just who cares? At the end of the day, no one's gonna save you from yourself except you. And there comes to a point where at the end of the day, I'm gonna look the same when I die. There's nothing that's gonna change. The sun is gonna keep going up. It's gonna go down, and the moon's gonna go up. So eventually, I have to grow up, get over it, and realize that reality is my own perception. My parents taught me growing up, and which was at the end of the day, you have to face the world, right? My job as a parent isn't to hide you from the world, is to prepare you for the world. And I mean, look, everyone has their bad days, right? Everyone doesn't have their confident days. I'm not saying that life is all an incline. At the end of the day, we don't grow as people if life was always going up. How are we going to evolve if we're always happy, right? I have my hard days, life is a lot of this and instead of not a lot of that. Basically, to shorten it up, is at the end of the day, no one's going to save you. This world is a very hateful world, but every day we have a lesson to learn and ask why. And it just allows us to build this armor for our world. Reality is our own perception. So if I'm perceiving the world like it's my oyster to take over, I'm going to take over the world. And that's what it's all about. Your perception of yourself is all that matters. And if someone looks at me a certain way, why does that matter if I look at myself the other way? All these people that have achieved so great things in life don't care about what other people think. They care about what they think and what they can do. When things are going on a roll for you in your life, you start to just attract good things. When you're just so focused on your goals and your perception and your reality, people are going to automatically gravitate towards you. You don't have to force anyone to be in your life. Things are going to start unfolding that I've always wanted to happen. Would I change my appearance if it was possible? So would I be normal? Absolutely not. I mean, first off, I wouldn't do this interview at all if I wanted to be normal. I'm 23 years old. I've lived this my whole life. I can't even imagine life without this. This is deeper than a tattoo. When I look at myself in the mirror, I'm happy with everything I see. Everything happened for a reason, and everything that I do led me to this exact moment. Alright, love life. It's rough nowadays. I ain't gonna lie, man. Being realistic, there are a lot of girls in this day and age that wouldn't date me because of how I look. Especially being in your early 20s and early teens. Looks are a very big deal. Even for me, like when I look at a girl, I'm not looking at her personality. I'm looking at her facial features, right? And so obviously, I don't pass the look test. I know this, though. I'm very aware of this. But I know I passed the personality test. So when I get to talk to them, I'll let these 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds, and I can do my thing. And if you like me, you like me. If you don't, well, I'm to the next. There's a lot of little scenarios where like a girl looks at me, and then she kind of like brushes me off. I could go up, say an awkward hi. At the end of the day, it takes a lot for a guy to even approach a girl, whether you look normal or not, right? But yeah, there have been times where I go up, I say hi, introduce myself, they're kind of not feeling me. And so when I talk to, other females, and this is any person, a friend or a parent, or, just a random guy where it's just like, when someone's talking about something that they know. What would I say to anyone watching? I would say, to anyone watching, you are what you think you are. So if you think you're limitless, you're going to do limitless things. You can want anything and you can achieve anything in this world. It all just starts with up here. When you look at a person that's 60 years old to 20-year-old, I think everyone is always still trying to learn their mind. It's an endless thing. And also, don't think of life as a goal. Think of it as a lifestyle. And everything you do isn't to achieve a specific goal, not to achieve a lifestyle. Because there is no finish line at the end of life, right? There's just one problem, I found a solution, now another problem. And so when you have that mindset, when you think you can truly do anything in this world, you will truly do anything in this world. So how do I deal with hate comments? I look at them and I laugh. Like my first hate comment, I don't even remember what my first hate comment was, but I'm sure that I just laughed at it. Most of the comments I use them for like a video, or if it's like a funny, like a joke, I kind of use it, But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's social media. Social media is just all a big, social media, isn't really real. I mean, that's the issue with social media. People think it's so real, and they judge their whole being off of likes and views and all this, and comments, and wanting just, instant gratification from people where it's like, bro, why am I gonna get mad at a 5-year-old who's calling me ugly? Half of the time, they don't even mean it. They're just bored. Any comment is a good comment to me. A lot of people on social media, they don't come to the fact that they're gonna already have to open themselves up. You're already gonna make yourself vulnerable. Don't be over here with 3 million followers complaining how people are judging you. You should already know that before the fact. It's like going into a swimming pool and crying that you got wet. Before the fact, you have to tell yourself that, look, I'm gonna make myself vulnerable. I'm gonna open myself up to being made and picked at from a lot of people, whether I like it or not, and that's just what it is. So if you want to keep on doing it, do it. If it's not made for you, then find another profession. Or find something else to do. It's simple as that. And obviously it's easier said than done, but luckily, my whole life, people are always going to change comments, so it's nothing new to me. Through my entire life, I've done 38 reconstruction surgeries for my face when I was only a month years old to remove my right eyeball. you see right here. To remove my right eyeball because it had an infection that could obviously lead to the brain, and that's not obviously good. So I had an infection that could lead to the brain, so that's obviously not good. Yeah, so growing up having surgeries, I think if I remember during my teen years and kid years, I would have a surgery every 6 months, so that was twice a year. So it kind of like sucked playing sports and everything on pause, leaving school, all my friends, because, I had to go get surgery, and, there'll be like a month or two I was gone. There was actually one incident growing up where I ended up getting a really bad infection, and I had to spend about like a month or two in the hospital. So that like sucked. And then I had another one where I almost missed Christmas, like it let me know the day before Christmas, we were like rushing home to like so I can make it. It was just kind of annoying, especially a lot of doctor's appointments going there, because where I would get my reconstruction surgery was 4 hours away. I live in Orlando, Florida, and it was in Miami, so it's a 4 hour drive. So I have to drive 4 hours just to have like a 10-minute appointment. It sucked, but it was just something I always like just knew I needed to do. Like, it was just like a ritual thing every year to get a surgery. As I got older, I became to realize what was actually really going on. And, it was a little scary always having surgery. It's never fun going to sleep and hoping you wake up. But thankfully, everything went good. Now, how did my parents pay for it? That's their problem, not mine. I don't know. But they get it done, I think. I haven't had surgery for a year. A lot of what I have left is like really hard work. I don't know, I'm a lot older, I don't heal as faster, and I just kind of think I've been complacent with how I look for like the past 10 surgeries, I kind of just been going with it because it was like what I was told I needed to be done. If I go back, I would definitely just do a couple, nose things. My skin on my nose is really kind of like you kind of see, like, it's just really like, especially here, it's just really like thin. So I'm kind of scared for when I get older, it might thin out too much. And then obviously my nasal breathing, I can't really breathe out my nose, so I would probably want to fix that growing up. I would probably want to fix that just in case when I get older, because my body doesn't get younger, it gets older. But other than that, I'll get a fake tooth here. Other than that, nothing like really excessive. Just more things that can be affected in the long term. But as far as everything else, it's with me for life. It ain't going nowhere. But yeah, so I'm at third year now. I actually because I thought this one was gonna be my final one, but then I realized I'm still a little bit messed up. I gotta do a couple other things. My last surgery honestly was pretty quick because my doctor that's been performing on me since I was a baby actually retired, and so I was with a new one. So it was like pretty like not uncomfortable, but it was pretty being with a whole new person. First time seeing your face, And he was the one that mainly advised me that, like, he's like, look, if you want to do anything, like, big, like, reconstruction work like you've been doing, it would involve a whole bunch of, just for them to even start fixing my nose, they would have to pull my face down. Like, I have a lot of hair, but I have a scar here that kind of is an incision that leads all the way to this side, and, they cut it open, pull my face down, conceal my nose, and he was like, yeah, like, most of them would be pretty, like, big time. And yeah, I just had to ask myself. I was like, I don't think it doesn't really serve a purpose unless it just fixes my like breathing or anything that can obviously be, not good in the future when I get older. I had this last one. This last one was pretty quick. All he did was just take out. I had a screw here on my chin for when I was really young. He took that out, and then I had a wire poking on my nose that looked like it was gonna break through my skin. And he took that out over a while. So that was like less than like a 30-minute surgery. That was kind of my like final big hurrah, I think, at least in terms of the specific hospital that I go to. I think when we're talking about, breathing through my nose and all these other things I'm talking about, my tooth, I think that's like other specialties, little stuff here and there. 38 was like my last like hurrah to my childhood hospital, Miami Children's Hospital, and kind of seeing all the workers that saw me grow up, and it was pretty emotional. I don't really cry, so I kind of cried in like that one. It was a weird like feeling to describe. Like I ain't going to expecting to cry, but just like talking about it and thinking like my parents and everyone that stuck by me. The long nights in the hospital, and me always bugging with me every step of the way. Definitely was pretty emotional. I'm hoping to maybe start looking into just my nose and my tooth in a couple months hopefully, because I'm not getting any younger. Everything just gets worse over time. So that's what I admire about my parents, because at the end of the day they're very strong people, and they figure things out as they go, and so that's what they instilled in me. That's why they never made anything that's out of my hands, my issue, like my surgery, They just, we're like, alright, this is our son, let's just try our best, and, it's not his business to worry about it, don't worry about it, they'll figure it out. I'm almost gonna turn 25, so real soon I'll have to worry about it, it's not gonna be that issue anymore. Yeah, that's why I always look up to my parents, because they've always been people that are strong and as they go, and that's what they kind of instilled in me. Luckily, they've been able to do just fine with all the surgeries on all the bills, and they've not only just been able to handle that, but they taught me a lesson, which is, when attacking anything in life, there are certain things that you just gotta figure out as you go. Yeah, that's just how I try to attack my life and every issue that comes my way. I had to miss my whole junior year of high school because I had a massive facial reconstruction surgery. And that kind of said not only am I missing a whole year of my childhood, just being stuck at home doing homeschool. So basically what they did was they put an inflatable balloon in my head, filled it up with water for over a month. And then after the month passed by, I have a big ball in my head. Then they have to cut off that on my nose. But before they can really put it on my nose, they have to do some other stuff. So I'm just left with a chunk of extra skin here for a month. And then after the month finishes, and they put the extra skin on my nose and kind of shape it up a little bit. So that process took about, I would say it took either 3 or 6 months, but in total probably 6 months because obviously you're counting the healing stages and things like that. That was definitely not the funnest time having to wake up and a big elephant thing on your forehead. And that was the only time I actually missed going to school. If I guess a total of all my 38 facial reconstruction surgeries, it probably came out to over $1 million for sure.